Hi, I'm Joe. Welcome back. This is the ultimate love letter. Thank you for joining the conversation. I have made it to Italy and I have found myself saturated in complete surrealism. I am deeply inspired by every single person I've met, every single person I've engaged a conversation with, inspired by the culture, the music, the food, the wine, the aesthetics, the history, the architecture. I found myself just thanking God for the beautiful exploration that this journey has been. I know that while I was in Rome, and I'm currently in Florence, but while I was in Rome, and although I was inspired by so many, I understood the assignment rather, when God sat several couples over the period of several days in my presence and allowed me to hear conversations that he intended for us to discuss here on Toll. I would have thought I would be better off had I not heard these conversations. I enjoy my solo time. I enjoy just basking in culture and the food and the ambiance and people watching and just thanking God. I enjoy just being with God and in my conversations with my God. So I knew God was up to something when he sat several couples over several days in my space and allowed me to hear the discussion. I knew God was saying, this is something we have to cover. Misaligned relationships. Why do we stay in them? Perhaps you're in a situation where you know it has ran its course, it no longer serves you. You know the drained energy that you feel at the end of the day. You know the relationships where you rather be on your phone while with them, rather engaged deeply in conversation. I'm speaking about these relationships. Why do we stay? Are we staying because we simply feel that it's better to be in a relationship than no relationship? It's better to travel the world with someone rather on our own. It's better to live at home with someone rather than solo. If that is you, I am here to tell you, you are not loving yourself enough. If that is you, I am here to tell you, you have yet to understand your true worth. Because when we understand our true worth, we will not be in just anyone's presence. We would not just simply engage and settle in relationships that we know are not elevating us. I was at the most charming restaurant the other day. And I mean, it was picturesque. It was beautiful. It was on a beautiful, quaint cobblestone street with the traditional red and white checkered linen tablecloths, candlelight, beautiful lanterns on a cobblestone street, floral arrangements hanging off the banisters. It was incredible, charming Italian music just coming from this bistro. It was fresh pasta and delicious Italian wines. And did I say the music? Like, it was everything that I dream about when I think about Italy. And as I'm sitting there, and I've noticed that for the most part, the people that I've been dining with, like, they're just deeply engaged in the conversation of the people at their table, and they're just marveling at the wine and the food and the aesthetics and all of it. And it seems like a beautiful environment for the most part of everyone that I've been in their presence. So I knew that God was up to something when he sat several couples over the last several days next to me and allowed me to actually hear parts of their conversation that I normally probably wouldn't have heard. I knew that by the second and third couple, God was saying, this is something you need to discuss on Toll. And so, you know me, I follow suit. Misaligned relationships. Why are we staying in them? While I was at this charming restaurant, this lovely young couple was seated next to me. And please do not think I'm nosy, because I could have done without hearing this conversation. But that's not how God works. As soon as they sat down, I immediately heard the gentleman, within seconds, started complaining about the restaurant that they were immediately just sat at, that he wanted to go on to another restaurant that evening. And he was complaining about money. And I won't, he didn't say money, but in essence, he was complaining about money and the cost of things. His complaints turned to traveling with his girlfriend, who is beautiful and sitting across from him, and how he doesn't trust her. And I thought, you have been seated at this table 90 seconds and you have had like 6 complaints. How? And then something happened to me that has never happened before. Within the 3 minutes that he sat down and immediately started just spewing across the table to his girl while he's in this whimsical environment, I grew immediately and physically and quite literally nauseous, sick to my stomach. And I know it was, for me, it was a reminder of when I wasn't in my worth, and that I would settle in people's energy, in relationships that were always complaining about something. Take a breath. Where are we at? We are in Rome. We are having an experience that most people will never have their entire life. We have clearly chosen to be here, and yet we can't even pause for literally 90 seconds to just take a breath in the environment and in the company that we have traveled so far to be submerged in. All we can see is complaints. We can all read energy. And perhaps if you're doubting that you can read energy, it's just simply that you're not in tune to the energy around you. Once you become deeply in tune with yourself, it is quite easy to feel the energy around you. So as he sat down, and this was also very interesting, I could just feel the annoyance, is that a word? Annoyance coming from his girlfriend. And honestly, I think my nauseous sickness, my sickening feeling was hers as well. I feel like that's what I was feeling, is everything she felt. Because as I looked up, I could just see the stress and the discomfort in her, period. She was kind of looking down, trying to keep a pleasant face on, but again, because energy is real, I could just feel it was like radiating off of her, annoya. And I was screaming on the inside to her, like, why are you here? Like, why are you in this relationship? And here's the interesting thing, because this wasn't the only couple that I sat next to that clearly God wanted me to hear something, that clearly they were misaligned. But I noticed when I was sat next to these couples, there was always one out of the two who you can just sense that they knew this relationship was over, but they're in it for whatever reason, God knows why. And of course, I know it's only a matter of time before it collapses for good reason, right? But I could just sense that there was always one person of the couple that had elevated just a bit more. So clearly now misaligned, but for whatever reason was still there, was still staying there. This woman, as she listened to her boyfriend complain immediately, when he finally did pause, she immediately tried to correct or elevate the conversation by saying, oh, yes, I know, but and tried to change it and try to elevate the mood. You know what? I'm here to tell us it's not our job to heal people. It's not our job to try to elevate individuals. It is our job to understand our worth. And if the room and the company is not worthy of us, it is our job to simply remove ourselves with grace. But I get what she was doing. You know, she's in Italy, right? Clearly they were traveling. And so perhaps it's not so easy to just leave. But my whole thought is, why are you even on this trip? Like you knew who you were coming with. Clearly, or I don't know, I'm assuming now, but clearly you possibly must have known that this relationship is misaligned. And if you don't know, but she knew, I could see it all over her, why do we continue to stay? And for the gentleman too that sat down and complained and, was spewing all this garbage at the beautiful woman that he was seated next to, why do you stay was my question. Clearly you are unhappy. Now I know unhappiness and happiness can only come from ourselves, right? It cannot come and be fulfilled by anybody else. But I find it quite interesting that in every situation where a misaligned relationship sat next to me, there was one of the two that had known. I can sense this. The energy was saying they know this has ran their course, and yet they are still in it. Perhaps this is you. If we're thinking that being in a relationship is better than being in not any relationship, you are dead wrong. Being in the wrong relationship will just keep us low. Being in the wrong relationship will just completely diminish every experience. No matter, we can go any place in the world, the most beautiful location, or we can do nothing and just be at home. And a misaligned relationship will never elevate the space. It will always just be taking away from the space. You in your alone time, solo, especially once you're able to just sit with yourself and heal whatever comes up, that energy, that solo energy, that presence with God that you're saturated in will elevate every situation. Not only will it elevate the room that you're in, but you will draw in others because they don't even understand why, but they are magnetized to that elevated energy. And those that are magnetized to it are the ones that are on that same higher frequency. Stop spending your energy and your time in misaligned relationships. You deserve better. You deserve conversations in magical places that only elevate at every level, that make traveling the world even grander than you could have ever imagined. When we are going and living and being with people that are just saturated in lower vibrations, continuously seeing something wrong with every environment, and you're thinking that possibly you're going to save them, or you're thinking that possibly just being here with somebody, period, is better than being with no one, you are totally misled. And the way that we achieve and the way that we bring aligned relationships into our life, those that will serve us, those that will elevate the rooms, is we got to be brave enough to let the mediocre ones go. Yeah, this happened several times while I was in Rome, and I just knew this was God's message for sure. The last restaurant that I dined at, and it was such a vibe. I was there for like 2.5 hours, people watching, having the best time with the waiters and the people that were seated next to me. And then, of course, here comes God again, sitting right next to me. Another couple who, thank God, I didn't overhear their conversation. I didn't need to. I could just, again, reading energy. Clearly, we're not feeling each other's vibe. But again, we start thinking it's better to be here with somebody than nobody. But you're not having a good time. You're drained. You're on your phone. You're looking up to a person who, in your eyes, you understand you deserve better. When will we actually allow better to come? You know when it comes? When we become brave enough to not settle for these less than misaligned relationships. I pray that we get this right. I pray that you are able to find the courage to be with yourself. When you are with yourself, when you find the courage to finally face whatever discomforts come up when we are by ourselves, which is why 99% of us avoid being solo, we will understand that it was nothing to it. All we had to do is feel whatever discomfort comes in for just being alone, heal it, it will pass. And then before you know it, you will be organically stepped into your worth. You will organically be able to do what 98% of people, 99, in my opinion, 99% of people are unable to do, which is be with themselves. Then you have room to receive all the aligned relationships, all the aligned conversations, all the aligned friendships, because you're no longer wallowing at the bottom with misaligned partnerships. I have the best time. I have been solo traveling since I was 18, and I thank God that I'm able to sit with myself in His presence. There's no better presence than being in the presence of God. Solo. God elevates and explodes the environment. And yes, when God does bring someone for you to travel with, someone with you to engage in relationships with, it will finally serve you greatly. It will finally do everything you've been hoping it would do, which is elevate the space, elevate the conversations, elevate the experience. It's time to step in to this truth. You are worthy of the best. It's time to go get it. Thank you so much for joining this convo. Please share it with someone who needs an encouragement. If you haven't checked us out on YouTube, please continue to check us out there. Thank you to all our new YouTube subscribers. I love y'all so. And I want to hear in the comments, are you ready to let go of mediocre relationships, or have you just recently let go of some? I want to hear. I read every comment, and I thank you so much for your love and your support. If you are subscribed to the Ultimate Love Letter, just know you have my prayers. I pray that God expands your territory. I pray that God infuses you with the peace and the bliss and the healing that you are deserving of. Until next time, love yourself and love others. We'll chat again soon. Bye for now.